We're gonna engineer it.
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point. It is 4 o'clock on the East Coast. It is On Point. And I have with me some of the best minds in the business as usual. Before I turn over to my partners here, I want to say kudos to Chelsea. If you are a Chelsea fan, we are going deep blue all the way. And if you are an Arsenal fan, okay, you all right. You drew 1-1. You ain't going nowhere. You ain't going down. You ain't go up. You just at Liberia. You stuck. You're not going anywhere. By the way, Arsenal is Joseph Boakai's team. They're not going up. They're not going down. They just either go backward or stay still. So here we are today. We are having a great talk. Listen, Liberia is a game that keep on giving. Look at the amount of topics we have to fight hard to talk about. By the way, Mr. Jimmy Eastman, it looked like Spoon TV got beef with us. I was listening to Spoon, and you were trying to be very, very negative about Focus on Liberia. We'll talk about that later on. I know he got beef because we cover his story. We cover all his story. We were in the courthouse. We carry it live. He doesn't like that. He talked about us in a derogatory way, and I'm going to talk about it. But here we are today, ladies and gentlemen. We got great topics going on in Liberia. We got possible conflict of interest. I want to sometimes agree with Mr. Tao. It looks like in Liberia, we just can't learn anything from the international community, from our education, from our experience. We just don't learn. We had the Supreme Court Chief Justice, her daughter, and the Vice President, a litigant, a man who has a case pending before the Supreme Court. They are out there fraternizing, shaking hands and hugging and carrying on. They don't care whether there is a perceived optical problem. They have no idea. They care less. We are here to talk about those things. Mr. Jimmy Eastman, how you doing there, sir? Our diplomat in in waiting. You've been waiting too long. You've been waiting too long, my brother. My diplomat. How's the Washington D.C. area?
Hey, we are all cultural ambassadors, aren't we? It's good to be here with these intelligent gentlemen. We got a lot to talk about, and hopefully we will keep the country on course, as the challenges will not subside. But the smarter we become, the easier those challenges are overcome. Thank you.
Great. Dr. Booty across the ocean, thank you very much for taking time off to be on the show. It takes a lot of commitment to do this. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Gaiman. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to a very productive show. And Mr. Tao said he texted me to come on, but I didn't receive any text from him, so I'm still waiting for that text. So Houston, I think we have a problem.
Yes, Mr. Towell, you are in Houston. You say you're not a Houston Texan fan, but you just beat my Miami Dolphins, and you guys are headed to the playoff. But you say you're a New Orleans Saints fan. How you doing there, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing very good, gentlemen. And to our viewing audience, we always appreciate when you tune to our show. I'm glad to be here, and I look forward to being part of the discussion.
Great, ladies and gentlemen, please do us a favor, gentlemen. Share this show in your different chat rooms, in your different platforms. Do us a favor. Let's do this so we can become a very interactive. We love to read the comments. If time permits, we will take some calls. Express your opinion. It's free. You can be pro, neutral, or against. No problem. This is a platform for everybody. Let's get to what we are doing here today. There's a lot of issues. So much so that a few months ago, we were talking about the LACC said they had a big conference. They were going to investigate the bribery allegation in the House. Up to today, nobody knows what happens to that. There's so many things happening. It drowned. We don't even know what happened. The president had appointed a committee to go and investigate the pay raise or the pay statuses against all the enterprises in Liberia when this thing came out about the LTA making his how do you call it? His generator was making $3,600 a month, and he was making $15K a month in her housing allowance. So the president set up a committee for the folks to look into it and report to him. The president also put a committee together to investigate Mr. Krumah and all of that happened. Nothing happened. So it just keeps happening over and over and over. And because we got so much going on, we're not going back to what we started, because they are creating so much dust that we just keep chasing the news cycle and leaving everything else behind. We have forgotten about the central bank removal. We have forgotten about all the people that the Supreme Court said they shouldn't move. So all of those things, Joseph Walker have been able to escape them. So here we are today. Mr. Eastman, we are still where we were 8 weeks ago when we were talking about the fight in the House. Months after, we are still here. We are still talking about these things, and it looks like the more we talk, the worse it becomes. So let's talk about what's happening in the House. While we are in, we are going to talk about what the information from the United States Embassy. We are going to talk about Liberia failed again in the trusts. It says here, majority of Liberia distrust the local government revenue management. The Afrobarometer survey reviews, that was yesterday. So even the people, they have no interest. They have no confidence. And months ago, there's a gentleman by the name of Wallow have been trolling this particular platform, telling us that President Boyka brought $5 billion that will bring jobs and everything. And again, here we are, HPX. allegedly refuses to allow the government of Liberia to get involved. They refuse to go by our laws. They disregard what we are saying. They total disrespect for the republic. In fact, they have bypassed us and going straight to Guinea. This is the $5 billion Mr. Wallow been talking about here. We also have the boss for the FDA, the gentleman that is in charge of the logging companies in Liberia. He has become a lord of his own. He said he will not allow the government or the media on his property, in his office, on site. The National Elections Commission dismissed tons of folks. And when Mr. Josiah Joker went to get involved, they told Josiah Joker, go find a place to sit. This is beyond. In fact, you are ultra virus. You are beyond your scope. But the biggest one we're going to start with is Joseph Boyka versus Fonati Kofa. Mr. Eastman, we have tried everything we can to get away from this story about this particular house, but for some reason, it looks like we can't get out of this house. Mr. Eastman, what is the update? What's going on in Liberia in the house?
Well, if you examine the statement from the U.S. Embassy, they say there's a need for transparent political processes to sustain Liberia's democratic trajectory. We know that there has been some political manipulation, and all geared toward removing the speaker. Now, we support political maneuvering, posturing, and all of that. We support that. But when it comes into people taking bribes and money, that is when you pervert the system. Because as long as people are getting personal kickbacks for deciding national issues, then the focus is not the people anymore. It's their bank accounts. And so they will not be beholden to the people. They will be concerned about filling their pockets. And that is why we cannot allow money being exchanging hands for important decisions like this. They could have moved the speaker by whatever political showmanship they wanted to perform. But whenever we started committing ourselves to money, then we were opening up Pandora's box. So because of that, I think that is the real reason behind this stalemate. Some ill actions were taken, and now it has come to roost. And they are even bearing their dirty clothes in the public. The speaker, former speaker, however prefer you want to refer to him, J. Fonati Kofa, has said that they've been doing some clandestine things, illegal things. And the fact that we're not even going after an investigation behind these claims, it means there's no transparency within that body and in our democratic process. So what it will do, it will erode. We are seeing the crumbling, the erosion of our young democracy. And simply because we don't want to play by the rules. So that's what we're looking at. But there's worse things that are going on beside that, because now that we're focusing on this rambling in the House, All the other things that are not happening in the country are not coming to focus. The university is still closed. The salaries are not being given. These LTA, all these people are being paid way more than they need to. Beside that, we are paying for their housing allowances. We're buying fuel for the generators. Why are we doing this? What is justifying these amounts? And if we don't address the bigger issues, in other words, there should be a body responsible for compensation and awarding of amenities to all government officials. That's the only way we'll control this. But right now, it is out of control. And this thing that's going on in the House is just a reflection of how out of control this legal misappropriation of the country's vital resources is hitting the floor right now. So as much as it sounds like a whole lot, it's just a mere reflection of a deeper wound within the republic.
Thank you. Mr. Tao, I know this is right within your alley, and I'm gonna drop the whole thing in your lap. That when we were in undergraduate school, freshmen, we did some business classes. They got something called GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. We have a country where the literacy rate, people who can read, is at 48%. 48%, the literacy rate the last time I checked. I may be a little off, but around 48%, the literacy rate. If you are running a society that is so illiterate, out of the 48% of the folks who are literate, that is people who can just read. But reading is different from comprehension. People just read. And out of the 48%, those who can read with comprehension might be maybe 50% of that. Out of 48, now we're down to 24% of people who can read and comprehend and write. So here we are. If you got 24% of your country literate, 24, that means 76% of the country can barely read or write or comprehend. This is the fermentation of what we have here. We have a democracy where they say we need people to represent us who we are. So if you have 76% of your population can read or write or understand what they wrote, what happened in the House here, I'm not surprised. We have guys who can barely read and write and comprehend. And you give them something called the Constitution to interpret. That's why they tell you the Supreme Court has no part to play. We are separate and equal chambers of the Constitutional House of our system. They can't put their mouth in our business because we're different from them. They're different from us. Mr. Tao, this is in your alley. I'm inching toward you small. That this system is not working for us.
Okay. So this discussion on what's going on in the House continue. And the reason that it continue is because of what I've been speaking on, right? The setup that we have need to be revisited. It needs to be looked at. It needs to be critiqued. It needs to be revamped. And there are portions of this governing structure and the political structure that actually need to be completely voided. Until we can actually try to do this for ourselves. Each time I say here, I meet so much resistance, and I'm wondering, what is it that we are resisting? Because the evidence is there, it is not working. They want to say, oh, it's not working because it is not the system, it is the people. No, it is the system based on how it's designed. Okay, let's take, for example, the medical system in the United States. I have a bunch of friends that are doctors. have businesses that work closely within that area. The medical system as it's designed in the US from the beginning is very good. But then later on, the deregulated stuff where profit became the sole purpose and the sole drive. So out of a certain doctors are made not to prescribe more medication because they benefit. So now instead of representing the sick, they started to represent the people who make the medicine. They're calling into different medical conferences. They're not going there for them to discuss new ways on how to treat. No, the new medication is coming in. Who has this? How it should be marketed. So guess what? There is more money thrown into the medical system, but more people are getting sick. Nobody's really getting well. My friend, that is the system. If the system is designed to where it create all these overlaying interest instead of actually solving, so that is the problem we have. We keep saying here that we pay these people. No, we don't pay the House of Representatives, Senate. They don't work for us. You see, we have to look at what's on paper and the way the thing that's on paper, the way it's implemented, and the way it works. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Gaiman. Who determined the pay? I ask this again, and the benefits of the House of Representatives? Is it the Liberian people or is it themselves? Themselves. Who determine what go to the Liberian people based on development or education, health? It's the House of Representatives. The Liberian people they create a budget, they go in there. So we have to look at this. Look, I'm just working some numbers here. These guys are getting close to $50 million of the country's money yearly. What do they really do? A country like Liberia, you know what 50 million can do? Just the vehicle purchase alone every 3 years is about $5 million. And this should be done twice in 6 years term. So, because the reason I'm not going so much to the fight and everything, the fight is going to go on because these guys, the way the Constitution is set up, no one can tell the other person directly. Yeah, they can give some vague ruling, they can give some vague opinion, but they cannot compel, they cannot get involved. It stay within them, and the Liberian people are even helpless. I heard people saying here that you jump in the street to do what? The only thing that can happen in the street is actually a violent takeover of the government. But we say we don't want that. You can march all you want. They will send police, they will tear gas at people, they will beat them down, and nothing will happen. At the end of the day, there will be strong condemnation from the international community, and most likely that's what it's going to be. So the reason I'm going this direction is this is time for us to look at this constitution. We need to set up something else to where we review this. We need to abolish the House of Representatives and Senate. We don't need that. That is not needed. Look, if we do this every 6 years, we can save close to $500 million that can be used into development funds. Look at how we do here. All of the laws that govern this country is already in place. If there is concession, let it be put out for referendum. The budget is put out, just the election that we have every 6 years, or every time because one person died here, Representative John may be senator, that money can be used. Budget can be put up for referendum. You know what that does? Every item in the budget, how much the executive mansion is getting, how much, and all that stuff is put in there and is put out, and the people vote on it. What they decide to put for country development fund or for development of the people education, all that is put out, they let it be a referendum. You know what? That would be a real democracy. Yes, some people say, yeah, it could still be rigged, but guess what? You know what that does? That at least gave the people direct participation in how the money that is collected, how it's allocated.
Thank you.
We must do this. This is a direction in which we should try to turn, or at least to look to question this. Go in the same route and trying to force it that, oh, it's working here. The way ours is set up is not working. We must seriously question it. Anyone that wants to force it to say it should just go, that, oh, we're not obeying some law, the laws are not clear, it's ambiguous, it's overlaying. There is a lot of interest in it. But one last thing, let's say my brother Eastman just said here, let me just land. He said that the corruption that is in and the bribery we need to investigate it. That is true. He's actually right. But where do we start? The system was what is the bribery and corruption is actually the default mode of the system. Where do you come? Where do you start to see corruption or money in this stuff? Except when people are campaigning, because that's where it starts. It don't start when they get into the house. When you are running to be president, people fund you. When you are running to be representative, people fund you. These people are investors, they invest in you. So they think it's a business. So we should look at it that way. Then we say, okay, you know what? If this is what we see, then let's look. Let's try to see how do we remove money from this. Let's see if we can have a fair discussion to say, okay, somebody want to run, can we look at another system that does not require campaign being funded to where people, but we have to remove, because the corruption start right at that moment. So by the time we are talking that they're already in the house, that people are bribing them, it's too late.
Great. Dr. Fidel Booty, this segue into what this is all about, right? The Afrobarometer says the Liberian people have lost total faith in the system. Exactly what he's talking about. They don't trust the judicial system. You can't go to the judiciary and get redress. You cannot depend on law and order. The police, they are corrupt. Someone rob you, you call the police, they tell you to buy gas, pay their way to come and get you. Like the criminal gonna be sitting there waiting for them that you gotta buy gas before they come to you. Then they ask you where the criminal is. So this is 49 countries. And when they got to Liberia, they spent a lot of time. And every corner of the country, the folks are saying they have no confidence in the system. Definitely, they say majority of Liberians distrust local government revenue management system. The perception of the government is rotten. Dr. Booty, here we are. When you look at what's happening in the House, and you look at the international community, the United States telling us we got to live by the rules. Then you find the Chief Justice that is handling this case is hanging out with one of the litigants, person who is before the court, shaking hands, fraternizing, and having a great time, cutting ribbon. Dr. Booty, talk to us. Something intrinsically is wrong with this country.
Well, there are quite a lot of things to unpack, and I'll tackle.
You got PhD. That's what we brought here. You can unpack it. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Let me tackle Mr. Tao first, right? I think, look, Mr. Tao made or makes comments that are not when questions, the hard questions are asked about, let me just focus on addressing. So he said, oh, we need to abolish the House of Representatives and the Senate, so no legislature, right? So the question is, who makes the laws, right? So you're going to get, I'm just looking now quickly while he was talking at the number of registered voters in the last election, 2.4 million people. So you're going to ask 2.4 million people to come sit in one room to write the laws? Is that what you're saying? Because the whole idea of having a group of representatives of the people is that they go in there and represent the views of the people. Now, here in the United Kingdom, where I live, for example, my local district that I live in is a Labour district, right? The lady who's the MP for my district was Transport Secretary. Now, this lady 10 years ago lied to the police. She said she was mugged. Somebody stole her phone, and it turned out that it wasn't true. And she admitted to the fraud offense and was sentenced, and she served her sentence. 10 years later, she's serving as minister. The story comes out. right? That, oh, 10 years ago, she lied to the police. And it's like, well, it wasn't hidden, right? But it's a news story headways. And she resigned from the government. She's still an MP, but she resigned from the government. It's the same democracy that we have in Liberia. Democracy is a democratic system that is broken, according to Mr. Tao. But here's an example of an individual in the same broken system doing what the system was created for them. If you are not someone of integrity, the individual can step aside. There are countries, I've given Mr. Tao example of Botswana. They recently just elected a new government, right? That they have democracy in Africa and it's working. The people just kicked out the ruling party for the last, I don't know, 20 years. They kicked them out of power because they were fed up. It works. The individuals, look, if you look at what is going on in the national legislature, in the House of Representatives, for example, it's not the system. The Supreme Court just told us what the system say. The system say Article, I think 33 or 39 and 43 or whatever it is, tells you exactly how you're supposed to act. If you decide to disobey the system, how is it the system's fault? Right? So Mr. Tower is an engineer, I think. So let's talk here the engineer way. You get motor car, right? The motor car got different components. They're working together in a system, right? If you go and pour petrol in your diesel car, what do you think will happen? You will say, oh, that a gentleman who made a car spoiled it, that why the car is no, because you stupid idiot went and put petrol in a diesel car. If the tire on the car is low, you will burn more diesel or more petrol. It is not the system that the person built. It is not the idea that they put forward, oh, this is what the car is supposed to do. If you now as a person get in that car, drink, and start driving the car, you go, you crash, and you say, oh, no, but the car. No, that's not the car, that's you. You're the one that is responsible. So let our people be accountable. Let's hold them accountable. The system is not broken. The people in the system are broken. And they're the ones that are breaking, making the system look broken. Because I can guarantee you now, if you take a bunch of people with integrity who understand this rule of law that the Americans are talking about and go in there and say, look, we'll let Kufa. We won't take him from here. Go to plenary under the same Kofa Gabo. He has to listen to you. You put your petition there. He must allow the petition to come to the floor. We take a vote. If you get to the magic 47 or 49, whatever, Kofa is out. Simple, right? The president, and I'm shifting now because I'm finished with the rant about Mr. Taiwan and assistant. The president, I was reading in Front Page Africa, is taking the thing lightly, right? At the same time that the Minister of Justice of the Republic of Liberia, who should know better, is coming out and contradicting the judgment from the Supreme Court. This is the chief prosecutor for the Republic. He should know the law. He's coming out and contradicting. This whole rigmarole that happened at the legislature recently, where people fighting, pulling this, that is because of the statement that he made. This is our chief prosecutor. He should know the law. Similar to when the president, some useless person you guys there called legal advisor, came and said, oh, you can just remove tenure positions. Like, what kind of law you read? Because I'm a lawyer, but I read it and I understand. I know you can't remove people. It's simple English. So how are you now with all the law degree coming to me? Look, we've said it on the show, Mr. Given, many times. This president, from the start, he tested the Liberian people, right? He tested them. He came at LTA. He tried to remove the people. They went to court. Court said you can't remove them. Then he do some kind of giddy thing. He moved them some kind of way. Nobody paying attention. Liberian people didn't say nothing. He did it at the central bank. They didn't say nothing. So the president believes that, look, I can just make my own rules as I go along. So at the end of the day, it is not the president, Mr. Tao said, over the system. Look, the people have the right to remove individuals. Look, I can guarantee you, if the Liberian people say enough is enough, if they don't need to be rioting, they can protest. They can bring Monrovia to a standstill by just sitting in the street and say, look, if you guys are not going to go to work, we too will not go to work. And let's see what happens with the country. Let's see what are the taxes that we're collecting are paying you off to sit at home. What are y'all be able to collect those taxes? Right now, the French government just collapsed. The prime minister, they kick him out. No confidence vote. So the system works. The individuals in the system are the issues here. and we need to say it very clearly. There's
Great.
corruption in every system.
Okay.
There is with the police force. Obviously, we know that one is what the Alpha Barometer report has put out is something that Liberia has been failing in for years. We've been very, very horrible in doing that. And just to touch on the point, I agree with you 100%. I think it looks like a bit. It looks a bit fishy that you will have the vice president uh, hanging out with the chief justice when there are cases that we all know. Look, the president took profile with him to ask Italy why they were taking a potato behind his back, but it didn't work. The fact came back quickly, so the other hole closed. They're still trying to maneuver illegally to get him out, and you've got the vice president there now hanging out with the chief justice. It doesn't look good. One would hope that when it comes to decision making, that the appearance, right, the appearance of bias will mean that yeah, I think it's a she will recuse herself from making decisions when it comes to issues that will have an impact on the executive, right? So, Mr. Tao, that's my
Yeah,
take on
yeah, but
your
Dr.
statement.
Buddy, but to
Yeah.
your point, you make a very interesting point, and I don't think we haven't examined this long enough. You cited how in other countries like France and Great Britain that the people, after somebody a false step, the people chose to remove the government. Just as in Liberia, we see the same sort of parliamentary system, but the people are not exercising their rights to remove. Just what Mr. Tower alluded to, they determine their own salaries, they determine their own benefits. You see, what we have is a situation that the people are not dictating to, or they're not giving instruction to their representatives. Instead, the representatives are instructing the people how they will behave, and they can be nothing done about it. That means there's something inherently wrong, and it may not fit us because we do not know how to exercise the power that we should have. There's something wrong. And when you look at it, a lot of people say it's economics. It's because there's so much poverty, people can easily be bought over. So they don't exercise their democratic rights and their franchise because they are manipulated by money. So in a system where people can be manipulated by money because of their poverty, maybe we need to put some other guardrails in the way to ensure that we have the people dictating to their representatives what they want, and not vice versa. You know,
No,
because that's what
Mr.
we have.
Eastman, I think you didn't get my point. My point, the examples I gave was about integrity of the individuals in the system. I'm saying
Okay,
that if you look at Louise Hay, for example, she resigned, right?
okay,
Once the issue came out that she had lied to the police before, she resigned. So I'm talking about the integrity. So individuals in similar system, people have integrity, and it's the individual. Right? If it was a Liberian government official, they would not resign. I don't care what kind of story you talk about, then it's not going nowhere. And I
right.
take your point, Mr. Eastman. I think it's a very salient point. I like the fact that you made that. And what I would say to that is, look, for me personally, I think about sometime last year I had this idea. I think it's a lack of education, and not academic education, right? Not academic education, a lack of civic education. Liberians in general do not understand the rights that they have, right? They don't understand the capacity that they have to hold their government accountable, to hold their representatives accountable. The Constitution, I think someone pointed out a couple of Sundays ago that there are stipulations within our Constitution that can be utilized to hold these guys accountable. But like I suggested, look, we have the right to protest, right? Not to riot. Rioting is wrong. Not to riot, but we have the right to protest. And if Liberians had the civic understanding that what their elected representatives are doing are It's not only illegal, like the Mr. Giving guy, new word now, ultra virus. It's not ultra virus, but at the end of the day, it's costing us money because we pay. Look, none of us here, Mr. Eastman, will go. I have a job, you have a job. Some people have businesses, right? Imagine you as a gamer running a business, he ain't go to his business for 3 months. The business will break down. How the business, all the employees will start doing their own thing, and it will cost him money. He cannot go to his business for 3 months. It will cost him a lot of money. It is costing the Liberian people money. But these guys don't care because there is no punishment. I'll use the word punishment. Is this culture of impunity in Liberia? They know that they will get away with it. People like, oh, we'll come here, we'll shout, our voice will get holes, we'll go home. Then they will keep doing it. The Liberian people, the ones that are suffering, the ones that are supposed to stand up, the ones that are supposed to push back, don't have that backbone to do it, or they don't have the education to say, look, I am allowed by law to call a protest, to go and sit in the street, to march every day until these people go back, to march every day until the president stops saying, oh, I don't worry about that thing, they will sort themselves. Let him speak out. Tell the legislators that what you guys doing is wrong, it's illegal. Let the justice minister stop talking nonsense, contradicting the Supreme Court, right? So the people have to stand up for themselves, unfortunately. Sorry, Mr. Tao, you got your hand up.
So, Mr. Gibman, real quick, just a minute before the political analyst, before you go to him. You see, he continued to play around the deficit of the very system, but then he dances from it and he gives him examples that don't even work with respect to the Liberian situation. You are pointing out France, you are pointing out Britain, you are pointing out, even they point out the US. Their laws are written differently and it's clear.
I pointed out Botswana. Yeah, but it's the system, not the law.
So listen now, please don't interrupt me. We take Africa that have over 54 countries or so. The same system that was brought to you, that don't belong to you, that was established, is failing everywhere. So exception is not the rule of thumb. We are looking at the overwhelming majority. They're struggling with the same thing. It is not working. Well, let's take the Liberian situation for example. You keep saying that the people have some kind of power. The laws are flawed. The representatives determine for themselves how much they pay. The people have no input. How can we not look at this and say, wait, something is wrong with this law? Let's look at it and let's try to maybe revise it or maybe amend it. Okay, you are talking about that the people have some kind of power. Look at the Liberian Constitution. The people can't even remove a representative. They will have to go do a signature. They will have to send it back to them, and they will have to approve their own removal. It doesn't work. It is set up the way it doesn't work. The people have no power. The power that you're talking about that people have in the Constitution doesn't exist. If they actually want to implement it, you can remove one representative that you chose. You got to collect signature. You got to send it back to them. The crooks have to sit down among themselves and decide to remove one of their own to set a precedent that will be a domino effect. They will not do it. So the system have problem. We have to look at the rules. We have to look at the law. Something need to be amended to where that much power of judge, jury, and everything lawyer come out of the hands of those guys if you're going to keep them. And we are sitting here, you're saying that you call 4 million people for them to come. Who told you say it is for them to decide? You think those guys sit over there every day and write any law? No, they have so much time on their hands. That is why they're corrupt. A whole bunch of them don't even go to work. They're not doing anything. Most of the laws that govern that country is already written. The people are not going to gather in one house. If you do things by referendum, you send it out there. Listen.
Mr. Tao, you're saying the laws are already written. So you say we must keep the law but get rid of the system. How do you do that? The system created the law. So how do you keep the law but then get rid of the system?
Guys, listen. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Mr. Taiwo, land quick so I can go to.
Let me land. So this is what I'm talking about here. Whatever you want to want, there is problem. You can point out France and all these people. The way our laws are written, the way it's supposed to function, it leaves each person to be so independent that each group, that the only thing that works is when one group want to influence the other, whatever representative want to influence legislature and the court deal, but they left the people out. So we need to look at that constitution again It need to be revised. Some stuff need to happen to where power come from out of their hand. These guys can determine what they're going to pay themselves if they work for us. They cannot determine what the benefits are going to be. The people have to be able to get involved to determine. At least if you don't even you want to keep the system, let's try to start picking at those areas and start making those areas work.
Thank you.
But nothing you can do to any of them. They're there for 6 years. You cannot do anything. You cannot remove any of them.
Not only 6 years, 9 years.
Yes.
Mr. Namwe, welcome. And we are on topic number 1 here. The continued saga at the House of Representatives, the United States Embassy weighs in. And finally, the Vice President and the Chief Justice. The Vice President and the Chief Justice, who is in charge of this country's, the fight that we are talking about, the legislative saga. How in the world with the Chief Justice, with the Vice President being a part of the litigation on her death, how in the world is the Vice President and the Supreme Court Chief Justice hanging out, having fun? I mean, what is going on here, Mr. Napa? Don't we have this thing they call ethics, perception, or people just don't care about the people?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gilman. It is good to be here. I was getting my egos ready, so I was
it's all right. It's all right.
Trying to give the boys a pep talk.
My dolphin just lost, so I don't envy you. Go ahead.
So, but listen, Liberia is a country where no system, is allowed to work, right? I mean, what you're describing, the vice president, collaborating with the associate, the chief justice,
not associate, the chief justice. That's
the
right.
Chief Justice, you understand me? In the midst of all of this, where the government is being directly implicated, including even the vice president himself.
Of course, because he is the president of the Senate.
He is the president,
the legislature, and
Exactly.
they are on the docket.
Exactly. So you would think that he would do the best to stay clear of any semblance of meddling. But again, it is Liberia. When I saw this, I was reminded of Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton, meeting on the plane in somewhere in Arizona back in 2016, when Hillary Clinton emails, investigation was ongoing, and the vice president is a student of history. I listen to him a lot. He's a very smart man. I'm sure he knew before even going to attend this invitation that there would be questions of ethics, conflict of interest and all of that. But he went. It is Liberia for you. But coming back to the saga at the House, look, I'll say this. I have repeatedly said here on this network that the president should the speaker should stand his ground. And I have consulted a lot of people, my wife, a lot of lawyers in Liberia. At this point in time, if I were advising the speaker, I would tell him, I think his point has been made. I think he has planted a marker in the legislative operations on how to remove a speaker. At this point, I think he should call a press conference and recuse himself and withdraw from the fight. He's not going to win. It is obvious because the forces that are ranged against him. I mean, we're just talking about the vice president and the chief justice, who is yet to decide on the Bill of Rights that was filed by the speaker. Bit of information. I'm sorry. So it is obvious that he's not going to win this fight. But I think, and I believe he himself knows that, he was in there to make a point. And I think his point has been made resoundingly. At this point in time, if I'm advising him, I'll tell him, look, while you're still ahead, call the conference and call it quits and move on. That way you live to fight another day. I saw some calendar where the judiciary is already on the list of people to go to the legislature, to the 43 and defend the budget and all of that. I don't know if they're going to go, but the speaker right now, he has the executive. He needed a little bit of help from other sources other than the House of Representatives. He's not getting that help. And I think at this time, if I were advising him, I would tell him, sir, you made your point. Your mark has been planted. It's time to move on. I don't think he's going to win this fight, though I think he's in the right. I still maintain that the process employed to remove him is flawed. It's unconstitutional. But I was talking to a lawyer friend, and he said to me, "Look, as much as all of you are saying, I watch the show and I watch the arguments, but let's look at it critically. The speaker, he is the presiding officer, but before he presides over a session, the sergeant at arms, the sergeant at arms have to call the session to order. Where is the sergeant at arms with a 43? The clerk has to call roll. Where is the clerk with the 43? The chaplain has to pray for the chaplain is with the 43. So this is a stalemate, and he could have used a little bit of help, like I indicated from other sources. That help is not coming. And so, like I said, it pains me to say this, but at this point, I think you should call a conference, and in the interest of the country, declare victory and move on.
Wow.
So can I have a few seconds?
Listen, guy. Mr. Namwe, I have to vehemently disagree with, and I'm disappointed in a well-learned man like you, who and I almost laid down our lives for this democracy. I remember 1979, Bassett High School. They put us on the bus. We went to the April 14th, the protest. We all did this. We almost died. I know you were in our midst too. And we did this for constitutional democracy. And for you to say, yes, the Constitution is on your side, the law is on your side, everything is on your side, but just forget it because the people don't listen. This is what the American society call, they say, tyranny of the majority. Talk to me, Mr. Booty. I am hard. I don't even want to go further.
Well,
I don't want to say something quickly, right? And you can defend yourself.
5 seconds.
No, just add, because what I'm going to say is going to buttress what he said, and you can add both of them together and respond, please, if you don't mind. Please, thank you, Mr. Nangle. Look, I'm disappointed in you as well, and you shouldn't even be drinking water because I'm that disappointed. I want to take your water privileges away, right? Because you're in this situation, right? Winning is for him to be removed constitutionally. That's winning, right? Winning is go through the constitutional process and remove me. You don't want me, that's fine, but remove me through the constitution. Because it's almost like, you fought you fought the war, you've gotten to the point of victory, and then you say, okay, I'll give on that, right? Because at the end of the day, the whole fight is about the Constitution prevailing. The Constitution hasn't prevailed yet, and you said, oh, he should call it a day. The problem that creates is that it sets, and Mr. Gaiman used the language, precedence. Or I think it was Mr. Tao that talked about the precedence. Yeah, Mr. Tao was talking about precedence. And in this case, sorry, I remember. In this case, it will set a very bad precedent because end of the day it means that anytime 38, because there were 73 people in the House of Representatives, anytime a majority of them get up and say, oh, we want the speaker, they can hold the speaker hostage. Every time another majority get up, oh, we let the speaker hold it. Then when will our country's work go ahead? So I am disappointed. I think he should stay in, and I think the fact that the clerk and whoever doesn't make it right. So I know your friend is a lawyer, but it doesn't make it right. It's not legal because they've gone over.
Well, Dr. Booty, I understand, and I appreciate your disappointment, if I may, Jerome. I understand, but let me tell you first. Protests throughout the world are usually staged to make a point. It's not every protest that drives a decision or reverses a decision. And like I indicated earlier, I believe the speaker has made his point. Now, let me tell you some of the things that are not happening that could have still propelled the speaker's protest. One, ever since the speaker returned to the country, not a single person have moved to his side. Not one. But we know a number of people. He is nowhere. What are you gonna let me finish, or are you gonna interrupt me?
Let me push back. This is not about moving people on your side. What you are telling me here is somebody charged me for murder, okay? And the penalty for murder is execution. And I'm found not guilty, innocent. But you say they should hang me anyway. They should execute me anyway. It makes it to me. It's mind-boggling. This man is accused of something, and you and I agree he is not guilty. But you say he should accept the penalty. How is that possible? How can you be found not guilty but accept the penalty? Yes, you didn't commit this suicide or this murder. You on the gallows. Instead of saying, you take the man out of there because you are going to hang an innocent man. You say he's innocent, but hang him anyway because, where he's going, a lot of people don't like him there. The people don't like him over there.
So
he
I think
better be dead than live in the community.
I think your analogy, I think your analogy of the death penalty is misplaced.
No, the man was guilty. They charged this man with something equivalent to treason, and he went to court, and the court said he is not guilty. But yet you say he should accept the penalty.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. So I think the fight we've been fighting here is not necessarily any allegation against the speaker as it is over the process by which he's being removed. I think some of the charges against him are quite true. I think he's guilty of conflict of interest and other stuff. That is not the reason
it
here.
Still has to be proven in the court of law.
Give me a minute. The debate here has been all along the manner and form in which he is being removed.
Why is he being removed? Why is he being removed?
Regardless.
No, you can't say regardless.
I'm not interested in the why. I'm interested in the process that is being employed to remove the speaker. That has been my argument. I said, and I continue to say, the 43 does not have the 49 required. They do not have a resolution on the floor to be voted upon. The speaker is being removed extrajudicially. That has been my argument. And I'm maintain that they're still wrong for the process they're using. But I'm also saying to you, I believe, given all that I know and all that I have seen, the speaker is not going to win. And therefore, I think he's already won.
The majority is not going to win too until they get 49 and go through, not just the 49, but they have to go through the process. But the fulcrum of our democracy here, the presumptions of innocence. You are innocent until proven guilty. They have to prove, not just the 49. When you get a 49, you have to go on a gavel. You have to get on the docket. He has to recuse himself. The vice chair, the deputy chair has to go through
giving due
all
process.
of that have to go through.
Correct.
When it's done, they put it on the floor and they decide if he's guilty or not. If he's guilty, then they come to the vote. Right. If the vote 49 say yes, then he move. Until those things are happening, he can't. Mr. Tai will come in real quick.
Okay. So look at what happened here. The legality of this stuff and the country moving forward. That I think like about a month ago, I said here exactly what Mr. Namwe is saying. You know that as we stand, the 43 or the group or the majority, they're actually enacting stuff and they're taking decisions, right? That's actually going to be implemented. So for the speaker to continue to just say, you know what, I'm going to continue until they get 49 years. What difference would it really make? Yeah, we understand that that there is the legal aspect of it, but that is what Mr. Namwe is referencing. Here in this United States that you are in, that everybody talk about, there have been people that have been both in government, in the Senate. They were pressure come on. They have no confidence in their group, and they were pretty much forced to resign. Even if legally they didn't do anything wrong, but from some moral side or so if something was wrong, they resigned. So look, Kofi can hold on. He can hold on all he wants. He's not coming back. Majority of the people that he's supposed to lead. Remember, Kofi is not leading the Liberian people because he already representing his constituent, and that is not what the issue is. It's him leading the other representative in the house that actually really have nothing to do with the whole country in that context. They say, hey, you can't just be our leader. So on that, they're not going to sit under him. As we speak, budget and stuff be presented to the 49. People are meeting with them. The Senate already said they agree with them. everything is moving forward. It's just like the same thing, right? Look, Jerome, I understand what you guys are saying.
No,
Yeah,
Mr.
listen,
Taiwo,
listen.
Mr. Taiwo, let me
Yeah,
bring,
but
let me
wait,
stop
now wait.
you.
No.
Let me stop you into your own contradiction. You said the system doesn't work because the people in it. Then you are saying here that we should break down the system. Then you say we should maintain the system, and you say the system working. You can't have it both with land.
No. Let me land.
Dr. Booty can
No.
come in.
Let me land now. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that he should be removed. I'm just saying that he can't win from the stalemate that is happening. I'm not supporting.
But you use the word stalemate. That means nobody winning. If it's stalemate, nobody winning.
No, where it reached, I'm saying if you look, the group, the majority still taking decisions. They're doing everything. It's just like illegal. Look, Jerome. Let me say something here. You see what's happening right now was exactly what happened in the dual citizenship stuff, right? We know that almost everybody in the house, in the government and stuff, they have citizenship somewhere else. But there was a rule on the book that said if you're a citizen, you can't hold these positions in Liberia. But we knew it, but yet people are holding this position. That was contradiction to the law, but it was still going on, and people saw it that, hey, you know what? It could not be enforced. And so that blockade was removed. In this case, there was a stalemate in the same way. Yeah, Kofa have his position is supposed to go through the legal process actually to remove him. But look, from now or until maybe something drastically change, nobody is with him, and these guys are still going on. It's the same stuff that we're talking about, right? It's the lawlessness. They're going on, and they're going to pass budget. They're going to do stuff, and where's Kofa going to be? So the best thing is, like this guy said, if I was in Kofa's case, I would say, you know what? I'll step aside. I will continue with my stuff or hold on. Whether he hold on or he doesn't hold on, for me, it really don't make any difference because I want for that whole group to be dissolved anyway.
Thank you. Dr. Booty.
The thing here is, look,
Dr. Booty has gone twice. I haven't gone yet.
Because you guys, it's like I can't understand how individuals like Mr. Nangbe and Mr. Tao will sit here and say that, oh yeah, we know it's wrong. Oh yeah, we know it's illegal. But let's just give up, man. You know. So what's the point of us coming here on a Sunday then? What's the point of me staying up till 11 o'clock on a Sunday for us to have this kind of conversation? What's the point if we're not going to hold people accountable? We put the rules in place for a reason. People must follow the rules. And y'all keep saying, oh, he will not win, he will not win. He will win because they need to get 49. If they go through all the process and he hit 49, he will stay there. They can't move from there. If they don't hit 40, right now they're on 43. The reason why they're acting like a bunch of disgruntled rebels is because they know they can't get to 49. That's why they want to go outside of the process. And you guys are giving them cover. Telling them it's okay. And then Mr. Dangbe still drinking water on top of it. You take the you call it weather, take the water from him. Because at the end of the day, you cannot be telling. Look, the issue here is these guys know that they cannot get to 49. They know that. Because I can, Mr. Dangbe, Mr. Tao, I can guarantee you, right now they're 43. If 6 individuals move to their side, they will go say, let's go through the right process. As soon as 6 individuals move to their side, now they will want to go through the right process. The only reason they're not going through the legal process is they don't have the 49. And we cannot allow that to happen. Because they say it can start small. It can start small. Fire can always start small. And then the next thing, the Chief Justice or the senators will start doing their own thing illegal too. Then other persons start doing it. We have to call it out for what it is. Phonetic profile must stay true until the end. The end is when these idiots come back to the main chambers of the House, go put their case on a floor, let the investigation go on, and let them vote to get to 49. If they can't reach 49, all of them must sit down under his gobble and you will knock it on their head all the time.
Thank you. Mr. Nambe, let's start the next here. The president of the Republic of Liberia leaves Liberia for Abuja for the ECOWAS summit on a private jet. Almost the identical one that President Weah had, that they sued him about. They persecuted him basically, and they wanted to execute him because they felt that this is a sin that the country, the economy is not well, the economy is not doing well, and the president is riding a private jet, and you were here. Everybody, everywhere you went, it was, according to that, it was Hebrews. You were not supposed to do this in a time of crisis. And Joseph Walker went everywhere. I mean, the whole internet, everywhere you went. Here, I was shocked to have seen the president getting on a private jet. Exactly the format used by George Weah. Look at this man. This man really want to mimic. He wants to embody the spirit of George Weah. The red carpet to the private jet. The private jet look exactly the one that President Weah was using. The people line up the same way. The same way he said there was opulence and Mr. Nambi, what is going on in our country?
You know, I think what is going on is a typical example of karma. I think that's coming to bite the UP people. Look, let's be honest, Jerome. Liberia is a poor country. I mean, yeah, I see that. Liberia is a poor country, you know, and I get the concerns about the president flying a private jet because we don't have the money, especially so that this president seems to be traveling at an average of maybe 2 trips per month or so. So the concerns are legitimate. But let's be honest. The president is the president. Uh he is not an ordinary president, even if we say you say in first class or whatever it is. There are times, for instance, I understand for this meeting, there were schedules that demanded his presence at a particular time.
Mr.
Uh,
Nambi, this is
I,
not what we are talking about. We're talking about the hypocrisy. This was wrong.
I just said that,
Wrong.
Mr. Gilman. What I said was
You sounding that Bo Ali.
them in the
Bo
ass
Ali said
because they criticize George Weah for doing what they are doing now. I acknowledge that. But I'm saying to you, it is unrealistic. It was unrealistic
but
when the UP.
that is not the topic. The topic here is these people said that it was illegal. It was a hubris to ride private jet.
Yes.
The spokespeople for the president came out and say the reason that they were upset with George Weah was the way George Weah acquired a private jet. Somebody gave it to him, and that has ethical problem. But this one, the president is paying for it, so it's okay. That was Mo Ali's logic.
But you remember when the former president brought in the private jet, there were reports that the jet belonged to a friend of his who had interest in Liberia. Remember the Igbo mother, the Elton loan. One of those people we understood was behind one of those loans, and he was giving this president his private jet, and therefore there were concerns for inducements.
True.
Now this president is flying to Abuja, even though there are reports that there may be somebody in Abuja who may be interested in one of the oil wells. Well, that report has not been substantiated. But I'm saying, if it was wrong for George Weah, it is also wrong for Boaka.
Thank you.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
I don't want you to go. I don't want you to add the president needs it. I don't want you to go ahead, Lance, so I can go to somebody. I don't want you to add that piece. Go ahead.
So it was wrong then, it is wrong now. But realistically, I think it is unrealistic for us to expect the president of the Republic of Liberia to travel commercial when he's going on.
Not just Liberia, president, period. Anywhere.
Period.
There you go.
Period.
And that's what we were saying, and the folks said no. Thank you very much. Dr. Booty.
Yeah, I think you might not like my response, Mr. Gaiman. So I think you rush me off like you tried to do Mr. Nangwe as well, because it was wrong for President Weah to the extent. I don't think it was entirely wrong when President Weah did it. I think to an extent, right? And the only extent is transparency, right? If he had told the Liberian people, look, let Mr. Gaiman Mr. Gaiman has no interest in no business in Liberia. Mr. Gaiman and myself have been friends for years. He doesn't want to see me as a president flying around. I think it was the lack of transparency for me that I had an issue with President Weah and the press. Look, I don't want my president to be driving commercial. I know John McAfee of Tanzania used to do it, but that's his choice, right? I think when it comes to our leaders, they have to travel. They have to be able to move. Because sometimes if you're traveling commercial, you got to wait for our president goes to the airport whenever the plane will come. He start sleeping. When private jet, you set your own time and go when you need to be there. So I as long as, and I think in this case, it is wrong because again of the lack of transparency, right? Because they say, oh, we paid it for the thing. Okay, sure. How you pay for it? Was there a bidding process that went through LACC, for example, right? Who were the people who submitted bids to offer this private airline service to the Liberian government, right? So that at least we know, did we get value for money? Those are the kind of questions I have, right? And right now, we don't know. Mo Ali came out and thought some nonsense, and everybody says, no, we need to know because this is government money. This is, especially for you, Mr. Gaiman, I got business in Liberia, your money, they're spending. So you need to know that it went through the right process. And it wasn't like, oh, now my friend here with Mr. Tao, so he brought me and would pay him over the odds, right? You should have paid the man 10,000, you gain 100,000. So it is wrong for that reason. The same for President Weah, the same here. We need more transparency.
Unless they'll tell us that the jet belongs to the same kind of friend who gave the president 285 yellow machine, then and I agree with Dr. Booty. Transparency here, I think, is what matters.
But listen, Mr. Tao,
yeah,
the president press people came out. They said, Mo Ali said it is something called pick up and drop off. He says the air taxi, we just pick him up from airport, drop him over there. It doesn't cost much.
That Uber jet?
Yeah. So he says the most they say is $42,000. Then Spoon went and brought a document from the airline that says this particular trip will cost $89,000 plus. That's what the airline folks are saying. Okay, that's just for the trip, $89,000. And if he's going for the whole week, and the plane has to be parked there, that's $89,000 basically per day. But if the plane has to leave and go back, and then they call them back to come and bring him back, that's another. So all of these things are the intricacies of these planes.
Mr. Gaiman now is wrong for two reasons. It's wrong for two reasons: transparency and wasting our government money. Right? Yeah, because you don't let him go wait for a plane. They won't buy. I think I'm okay with him waiting for plane. Yeah, but if you don't pay 89,000, no, that's not right.
So, Mr. Taiwo, here we were celebrating Ethiopian Airline coming to Liberia and doing everything of it, but we can't even get our own air taxi to say, you know what? Even if we pay $2 million for a plane, over the long run, it will save us a lot of money. $89,000 per trip per day. That's a lot of money, Mr. Taiwo.
So look at what happened here. I listened to Dr. Booty and analyst Nangwe first, and then I'm glad that they had to kind of catch themselves, right? Because
we haven't been friends over the past few weeks, so we're still not friends. We don't have
to be friends.
He's scared. You know you come and hit him hard. So he's scared.
We don't have to be friends, but we'll talk like broad business. Yeah, but look, what is wrong with a president with a commercial flight? If the presidents of the country are not able to make life easy and simple and livable for the people, why should they have a special privilege? Look, for me, it was not George Weah. Look, this thing here. Look, you see most of the argument that is going on in Liberia about the president bought bulletproof car. Oh, the president, the other body, the president have gas for it. It's because the system is not working for everybody. They alone at the top grabbing everything. If things were good for people generally and things were working, nobody would really care. But here is the president flying to Abuja for 89,000, 100 grand a month. But per trip, but they will get up and go ahead and and somebody from Turkey or Yugoslavia or the US or China will come and donate $15,000 worth of computer, and they go caught raving. And for that, they will give the President Transport Ministry to print license plate. You see that? You see the contradiction? So there is a saying in a book that I read that which apply pretty much to the African situation, that the Negro buy what they want and they beg for what they need. This is our problem. So the president should be able to go over there. They gotta wait. Okay, so they schedule the flight. They know when the flights are coming. They schedule it along with Ethiopian Airline or Emirates or whichever airline that fly from there to Accra. And it's very easy to set it up. They get into first class. That even reduce them from carrying a whole bunch of people. Look, I know people that are deep into the president's inner circle. I grew up with them. They don't even work for the government. They consider themselves first family. You know how much money they're making? They're on every trip. They're on every trip. They have left the jobs in the US and in other places, and they're making money based on traveling. So the travels, that is what it's for. So that's why when Michael Fully came to power, in the first 5 years, he took over 2 areas in the Tanzania government. He controlled foreign travel and he controlled concession. With that, he did not take a single dime from the World Bank or the IMF. He was able to build the economy, build power plants and hydros and other stuff. Liberia is not poor. There is a lot of money in that country, Mr. Nambi. I was just doing some calculations here. If just what the representative in the Senate take is about $500 million in every 6 years. $500 million. How much can that do for Liberia if they say we're going to invest $100 million every year in power generation to stabilize the power? So the first 6 years, you will have Liberia covered and you'll be transporting electricity. Then the next 6 years, we're going to focus on roads. You're going to build at least 2 or 3 major roads in Liberia. So there is a lot of money in that country. That is why when people say, oh, we need to increase the domestic tax base. For what? Money is not the issue. It is the looting of the money that is already available. That is why there is shortage. So Liberia is very rich, even with what they consider to be little. So the president, look, Mr. Gaiman, let me land. Remember I said here when I first came on your show that the government will be worse than the we are government. Did not mention it from day one.
Yeah.
They will be worse than the we are government. And look, these guys were out of power for 6 years. They were burning. Most of them, I knew them. Within the first year, these guys looked like people that come from out of the sewer. They were broke, they were run down, and they waited. And what this taught them is that they didn't steal enough in the 12 years. And they're not even sure if they can, with we are then hanging in the back, if they can survive after for 2029. So they're going to loot as much as they can loot. But look, if we was to come back there, the we are group, now I know some of them, they're already becoming broke. Guess what? They would loot more than they did 6 years ago. This is the cycle that we are in.
Thank you.
Sorry, can I just say one thing quickly? Mr.
Yes.
Gaiman, Mr. Tao, I just want to point out that you've just used Tanzania as an example of the same democratic system working, right? John Magufuli, you just used him. He went there and he did what was right in the same system. This guy, legislature, executive, and judiciary, same republic system that we have, right? You've just used the same example. I've never even used Tanzania before.
Your law
You
is
come
not
to your word
written.
now.
Your law is not written the same way as theirs. Your law, the democracy that they're talking about, the laws are not like one fit all that they wrote and handed out. I'm talking about
They
the
have
way your
2
laws
branches
are
of
written.
government. Executive power is in the executive. The legislature makes the law, and the judiciary interpret the law. So what's the difference in the system there?
The way your laws are written in Tanzania, they might be able to recall or represent House of Representatives without trying to send it back to them. In Tanzania, the representatives don't set their own pay and their own benefit and their own salary. That lies somewhere else. So their power is curtailed with respect to how to gobble up the country's money. These are the things that I'm pointing out. So that part of the Constitution should be amended so that they don't have that authority.
So then it's not the system. You're calling for tweaks to the same system. You don't want to change the system. You don't want to tweak it.
He said the system is not working. So for me,
It's
that's
not
good. Now
working.
let's go to this, guys. Dr. Booty, I brought this here, and I'm glad I've been holding on to this because I wanted Sam Waller to be on before I brought this topic out. Sam Waller came on here several months ago and was jumping for joy about the HPX. The HPX brought $5 billion investment, jobs, and we were not talking about it.
Jerome, if you're reading the fee, he has moved on. He said we'll talk about the 5 billion, 5-year plan.
A new another $5 billion. The other $5 billion that is gonna know. Okay, so Sam Waller, you've been looking for it. Here it is. It says here, HPA alleges refuses the Liberian government to get involved with their own construction, their own mining company, and it says here, the company claimed its infrastructure plan will align. We shouldn't do anything, but when they finish what he wants to do, it will align with Liberian economic interests, stressing potential. Waller said they were going to bring 5 million jobs and all that. He said potential job creation. It won't even tell you how many. Not in Liberia, but in the region. While pressing for the government to act, he wanted the government to act quickly. Despite these claims, HPF fails to outline any real commitment to investment in the real world infrastructure in Liberia, but it wants to negotiate on its own terms with the Guinean government. Up to now, there's absolutely nothing. They won't make any commitment. They have sidelined Liberia. So this whole HP thing has become another scam. Mr. Waller, before you put those things, you were listing Joseph Boakar's accomplishment, and one of his first major was $5 billion HPX something. Dr. Booty, here we are again. Joseph Boakar came with scholarship a few months ago. The scholarship turned out to be a scam. Sam Waller advised him for the yellow machine. It turned out to be a scam. Sam Waller was in Ghana for buses. It turned out to be a scam. Sam Waller's primary project, the HXP, is a scam. Now he coming with a $11 billion or $5 billion. Now you see what they're coming with? This time he moved up $8 billion budget. Dr. Booty, man, what's going on with Liberia? HSP said they will write their own contract. They are not committed to the Liberia election, investment commission, Liberia's law. They will negotiate directly on Liberia's behalf with Guinea.
Well, I think, sometimes you think about what is going on in Liberia, and it's quite difficult to kind of comprehend how any group of individuals, like people, our people in general, will sit and accept what is going on without speaking out. I think the opposition parties have to take some accountability here, because for a democracy to work, you need the opposition to be strong, and I think the CDC, the ANC, and other political parties in Liberia should be calling on this government and pointing out some of the nonsense, right? Because it seems as though this government prides itself in programs and events, like cutting ribbons and launching big and projects that they know they cannot achieve, right? Because I remember with this HPX thing or HP, whatever it is, there was some big hoorah at the mansion. The president had people there. They took pictures, all around here, put all on the internet for all to look at it. How much money they spend for the other event, we even know. We get to find out. Someone might get angry, right? That they've wasted all that money for something that is a non-starter, right? So it's painful, but I would want to call on the opposition parties to really step up here, because we need them to speak for the Liberian people, because the Liberian people have been taken on a ride that they didn't buy a ticket for, right? And it's unfortunate that these people are wasting our time, right? We're coming up to 1 year soon. Next month will be 1 year. They're wasting the country's time. And like and I will probably agree with Mr. Tower on this front. They know exactly what they're doing. They're saying all these things to distract the Liberian people, whilst they take and take and take and take and take. So by the time people realize they've already taken too much, that the country is then in a very difficult situation. So look, at the end of the day, Mr. Wallo can say whatever he wants to say. There is no defending this. And obviously, Mr. Aliyu Kamara was on here and tried very hard for a couple of weeks. It couldn't work. He ran away. I'm sure Mr. Wallo, after a while, he will run away as well.
And he changed his name from Aliyu Kamara to Valley.
So Mr. Wallo might also be going through a name change very soon if you're not careful with trying to defend the indefensible, right? Because this is just it's not possible, right? Sometimes you think about it, you think you're dreaming, right? You just think, oh, maybe I'll wake up from this dream. Because you don't think that serious-minded people will do the things that these guys are doing. All right, that serious-minded people. And we need the opposition parties to really step up. The CDC, the ANC, and others need to really step up and talk for the Liberian people and speak on their behalf, or else these guys will just believe that they can continue to do what they're doing and nobody is there to call them out.
Great. Mr. Namwe, it says here, Front Page Africa had gathered that growing tug of war over critical infrastructure is unfolding between the National Investment Commission, NIC, and high power exploration, which is pressing hard for all rail access, total rail access, and reportedly leveraging long-term investors to control total access of the rail. And the government is saying, we cannot do that because the rail is on a contract already with Metal. You can work with Metal to expand, to make a dual use. You can't have two trains waiting on the same. Maybe we need to do a parallel rail. These are the investments you can. And then it brings us back to exactly what Toy says to the American government that got him in trouble. He said, this government before us, the Ellen government, Joseph Walker, signed a 25-year agreement giving Metal Steel an exclusive right. And they revamped, they rebuilt the entire structure from Yekepa, from Nimba to Grand Bassa Port. So if you want to use their rail, they have exclusive right. You have to negotiate with them. You're coming with some partnership. We cannot contravene a contract that is already signed. And for that, they lobby and got him into trouble. And here, the NIC now is quoting exactly what Toy said. We cannot give you exclusive access to the railway because it is on a contract for 25 years. You need to go and work with them. And now everything is at a standstill.
Well, I mean, we had said, over and again that the HPX deal, it had a lot of questions, associated with it. And it's turning out to be a flash in the pants. As you indicate, I read the write-up in Front Page Africa, and I was concerned. It's the MedTech telling the LRA, that they have no authority over them. They don't want the government of Liberia to be a part of the negotiation term. They don't want the government to even talk to Guinea. They want the government to go through them before they go to Guinea.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, how is this possible? So, what is he saying? Which means the government is negotiating responsibility. Is that what this panel has been calling for? Oh, I thought he meant, isn't that what I don't know that, but your HPS is saying the government should not even come anywhere near the negotiation.
That's correct.
That's what we're saying. I think if the deal is a deal, I think all sides should be open to talking. I think they should continue to talk because I think the more they talk, the more they will improve the terms of the agreement. But yeah, HPS, they don't want the track to be a multi-user track. They want to have exclusive, right over the track. They're always in Guinea. They want to have exclusive right from Guinea all the way through Liberia to the port.
To Buchanan, yeah.
To the Buchanan, and the government is saying, wait now, that's not going to be, that's not going to happen. So we hope when the ribbon is cut, for the signing of the deal. Dr. Waller will give us some photos. Maybe he will be in the background, well, hopefully. But yeah, it looks like the HPX deal may not happen.
You
So
see,
now I don't know where we'll put that. Whether we'll put it in the column of deliverables or or maybe balls or maybe possibility. I don't know. Dr. Waller will tell us which column to put it in.
you see what we're looking at here. This is the railroad that have been rehabilitated hundreds of millions of dollars by Metal Steel.
Yeah.
And Metal Steel is using it as we speak. And they've been on the ground since when? Since 2010. Okay? And they have rehabilitated this, they have rebuilt this, and they're using it. And these people coming in to bully the Liberian government to take the people a railway and give them, I mean, the audacity for these people to come in and say, these people signed 25 years contract. They are already invested in the country. They have hired thousands of people. And at least they are on the ground and they got employees. They're paying taxes. HPS saying we should stop these people and give the railroad to them. So what becomes of Metal Steel that have worked this railroad, that have hired 2,000 people already, that have been doing it for the past 10 years, Dr. Booty. Oh, excuse me. Dr.
So
Mr.
look at what happened here. Listen to us. We dance around this stuff. Remember when the 12th sanction came, and some people started to criticize me. Oh, because you think 12 didn't commit corruption? And I was saying here that the sanction, if you understand how sanction work, sanction is a coercive measure. It is a measure to bully people and to force them. Sanction is political, and it has nothing to do with human rights. The U.S., the West, they have the worst human rights record in the world. They don't care about what happened in Liberia. Look at what they're doing here to their own population, the blacks. They have rules in place, both in England, where the disenfranchised and they create rules that keep them out of economic opportunities. They have them in jail double the time for common stuff. So if you look on the Human Rights Index, the US 34th compared to a whole bunch of other countries. So anything that comes from it doesn't even matter. I want to just say that. But the sanction, you see, if you follow this, HPS came in, and what they were trying to is not, let's separate this. 12 and whether they stole money or didn't steal money, that was not even the issue for the sanction. The sanction not because what they did to you, is because what they're doing to the interest of Western capital corporations. They refuse to allow that. What did they do? They decided to demonize them and then weaken WEA's party, CDC, by sanctioning them. Boycott them was sponsored by these guys that came to power and what they came over the sun. But you see, Metal is also a multi-billion-dollar company. U.S. House of Representatives will share in Metal also. So all these companies, they're all multinational. If you look, in Guinea, you see what's happening in Liberia. If you follow it, you will tie into the coup that happened in Guinea. The government there had a lot of projects going with the Chinese as a World Bank were croaking us into a $1 billion power deal. The Chinese, 450 million, they were building a power plant in Guinea that would provide almost 500 megawatts of power. You know that it was that mine that they were coming for. That guy was overthrown. He was removed. The military government came in. HPS signed that deal immediately. They came to Liberia. The way our government stood, they were sanctioned. They were removed. This is what you are seeing here. The arrogance of the West. They have decided that your place in the world, even in your own country, is that they own what you have and they can take it any kind of way. This is why they're losing out in the whole world. The Chinese will come. It's not that the Chinese are any better, but the approach is different. If the Chinese came in and they met something like this, you know what they will do? They will quickly build another rail. They just came to Peru. They came there for them to open the largest or continuum port in South and North America. You know what they did? There were other ports. You know what they did? They opened one that is huge, opening all South America sold the rest of the world into Asia. But when the West come in, Britain, Tony Blair and they came in. They want to do port business. We have all the harbor, all the other port. We have the place that's Le Piso. They came, they took over the free port, make it difficult to hold on to it. The West don't build no country. They use you to suck you till you are dry. The disrespect, the disregard. Guess what? They will get their way. You know that HPX is a World Bank, a subsidiary. They're funding that. So when I keep pointing out that wherever the World Bank is, no country has ever done well. It's a private bank owned by investors that are meant to exploit. That is what you are seeing. What will Blackadden do? Nothing they can do. They will pressure them. They will go to Guinea because the way the deal was set up, if you read it, Liberia supposed to be not deal to negotiate. What their cut would be for using Liberia infrastructure or putting it through Liberia. Out of arrogance and outright disrespect, they decided. And they're openly saying this, where's the U.S. government on the human right and the best way of doing business and all the nonsense that they keep talking about. But now, you see, they're quiet because that's their company. They're driving this. They're arrogant. They're going to negotiate and they're going to come out of there and determine this is what we think that you will get, and you shut up, you can't say anything. This is what you are seeing. So let us address this for what it is. Look, anybody that wants to do well, now the world is a multipolar world. Okay? The days of one group of people dominating, the options now. If you want to build your infrastructure, if you want to develop, look to Asia and other people. The West is exhausted, they're tired, they can't even help themselves. You are in England, they're poor, they can barely pay their bills. People are homeless.
Why you just picking on England and Hula today?
No. I just want to point this out.
That's the line. I got England.
Here in the US,
in the West.
The man they point out that the man hit the king.
Don't get all emotional. Here in the US, they can't even help their own people. 30 to 40 million people homeless.
You know,
infrastructure
is a conspiracy theorist.
No, it's not conspiracy theorist. I'm giving the numbers. Dispute it. But no, the arrogance of these people. For a small company to come to a sovereign country, to come to a country, to actually say that you should stay out of it. They will negotiate. They're saying this openly. And in any other country, the hope, you see, what we are discussing about the failure of the government and the corruption, all this stuff, these are the kind of stuff. If we can come out, when you want to demonstrate, this is where you call your people to demonstrate. Because you see a whole bunch of the stuff, when they take over that and they put that in there, they leave you out and you are losing revenue. Then the same World Bank that own that company that is now looting from both Guinea and Liberia will tell you that you should go and tax your people that are poor in Liberia to expand domestic revenue. Why? They paid nothing. This is where we are. These things must be called out. It must be addressed. If we are not brave enough for us to be able to even address these things because of fear to preserve ourselves, then let us abstain. Let us say, you know what? Hey, I live in the West. I'm scared. I know there is a common understanding in the U.S. and I don't know about England. You have the right. You have freedom of speech, but once you speak, your freedom cannot be guaranteed.
Thank you.
So, but let me just do something quickly.
Dr. Booty's turn. Go ahead.
No, just 1 more minute. If you look at, I think most of the things you said I agree with. I think the West is not a friend of Africa, or Liberia. Let's focus on our own country. The West is not a friend of Liberia. They want Liberia to be a supplier of raw material, right? They don't want Liberia to develop, even though we're not helping ourselves. But I agree 100%. Yeah, I agree 100% with what you said. The Chinese, their approach is different. They are exploiters as well, but they will pay you what you ask for. They'll come at least try and there is some form of negotiation with the Chinese that they'll at least try to negotiate with you, whereas the Americans will come and basically blackmail you and take whatever they want to take, and the French and the British and so no, and I've called those things out significantly in previous on other platforms that I'm on, and I agree with you.
Great, ladies and gentlemen, Thank you for watching. We got one more, the last one. Dr. Buddha was the honorable Namwe will start with you on the anger and frustration mounts in Liberia as the data rate changes affecting millions of people, man. What is going on with this government? Holiday. You are taking the people free options. There are two schools of thoughts. There are the chatter in the country, the anger in the country is reaching its crescendo, and the government have decided to curtail that. So what it did was to suppress, give you less time to talk, less time to communicate. In the meantime, while they are doing that, they are overcharging you. And within, according to Spoon TV and people within the system, that within the last 30 days that they've been doing this, they have LTA have raised $6 million already. They said they went to Joseph Boyka, Grace Bay, and the whole team went. They convinced the old man that this thing has a dual, it has a dual purpose. You can make money while you also suppress, take their time to talk, later they won't be able to talk. So they did both. With the limited time they have, the people still came out and were raging. And then they went back and say, okay, we're going to give you back your talk, but only for 30 days. After the holiday, we're going back to cutting your speech. Mr. Nambe, this is terrible.
Yeah, Jerome. I mean, this is really. I think it is what has characterized, this administration. The inertia, the either unwillingness or inability, to take action. I think the LTA saga has been in the news for a very long time. From the day the president himself tried to illegally remove the commissioners, he went to court. The people won. The justices, they told him to go back. As soon as he left the court, he suspended the people and put this group in who have been acting like forever. And it is clear that this group is not in the interest of our people, and yet the president continues to keep them there. I mean, the news broke just a few weeks ago about their benefits. You know, taking home over $15,000 or whatever or so per month or all of that generated alone over $3,000. How do they expect to pay for these? They're trying to get paid on the backs of the ordinary people. And I'm almost certain the president is not going to do anything. I saw the statement that they wrote. Instead of reversing this criminal hiking of the prices and reduction in data, what have they done? They're offering a bait and switch. They're offering a promotional period, which we all know when the promotional period expires, usually, the prices will kick in. And I think it's only for 7 days. I think what they're doing really is unconscionable. I think you may be up to something here. Maybe it's a real attempt on the part of this government to silence the people, and reduce their capacity, to get on social media, and read and hear about all of the wrongs, the wrongs that are occurring under this government. There's just a lot of reports of inappropriate, impropriety that is under investigation with no conclusion. And apparently for this government, investigation is the end of a story. I mean, so the LTA, I don't know if the president is even going to do anything. I doubt it, but I think he needs to do something because, like you indicated, the frustration, the anger is rising to a boil. And I understand there is a planned protest or so this coming week or something like that. So I'm just really flabbergasted and kind of hurt and disappointed. That our people who are already experiencing so much hardship, will now be experiencing this kind of hardship with telephone rates. I think it's unfair, and I think they need to reverse it and find a way to generate the money that they need to pay themselves. If they must be paid these exorbitant, compensation that we read about.
Dr. Booty, I like my boss Saint Wallow. Saint Wallow say Waka doing so well that HPX commend him. Who what you want them to do? HPX got their way, they got their cake, they eating it too. They have to thank the man who gave them the cake. This is a company that was in Liberia, couldn't get through with the WIA government, went to Washington, D.C., to the Enterprise Institute, and they hired people and did everything to sanction. What did they do right after Waka came to power? They had a dinner. You saw Waka, they were showing the picture. They were having dinner in Washington, D.C. The next day they went to Liberia. They were shaking hands. Now the deal has struck the wrong nerve. HP is telling them, no, you don't have power over us. We are the power. Say when we are done, it will align with your arrest agenda. That's all you care about. We are at the end of our program here, Mr.
I thought I was going to be allowed to say something on this. I think.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what Mr. Wallow posted, when he talks about commending, I had a serious issue with the establishment of the Liberian National Rail Authority or whatever. First of all, my understanding. I think it's Article 89 of our Constitution that says it's the legislature that should be setting up autonomous agencies. That the president will establish this by executive order is illegal, right? If I'm reading it is illegal that the president will establish an agency of government by executive order. He doesn't have the power. Let me use this as a given phrase. Ultra virus. That's ultra virus, right?
That's right.
So that's just look. But at the end of the day, look, this country and what is happening with the data situation is, I think there's a part of me that's trying to think that these guys are just trying to see how far they can push the Liberian people, right? They just say, like me and Mr. Tao now, he say he get muscle and thing, they are pushing some more, they ain't do nothing. Then I'll say me pushing one more time, yeah, pushing, ain't do nothing. I say me pushing again. That's basically what these guys are doing. Because there is no justification, right? I don't think there's any, and I'm glad Mr. Eastman is back because I wanted to talk about the Starlink thing, and I'm sure he will pick up on that. But there is no reason why any human being working for the government of Liberia should be earning more than $5,000 US dollars a month, with all the benefits included, all their entire whatsoever, right? They should not earn more. Because that will then help them to live within their means, but also help the country to save enough money to invest in agriculture, invest in education, invest in the infrastructure that Mr. Eastman can speak to that will make the internet provision and the telephone provision in our country better, right? Most of these people that the president has put on the LTA board, not one of them, as far as I remember, has any telecommunication experience, right?
No.
These people come from radio station. Some of them come from this other place. You take them and give them. Telecommunication is so important. The banks in Liberia depend on it. Companies in Liberia depend on it because they need to communicate with their partners overseas. And then you take it, you give it to a bunch of no-face. And then they make collecting 15,000, then 3,000 something for gas. Then squash. Anyway, I'm ranting.
Dr. Booty, we did a pro show yesterday, and I want to invite all the On Point viewers and members to go look at the show. We did a show on the electricity in Liberia and the various issues with it. And I will just do a little synopsis. Everything to advance Liberia will depend on how we harness our energy resources.
Of course.
Electricity is essential for our development and our progress, but we are not going at it in the right way. Why we're not going at it? Because in order to push the agenda the right way, you have to have expertise sitting at the table. You have to have committed people sitting at the table. You have to have people who not just know the technical aspect of these things, but also the economic and the business aspect, because electricity in itself is also a business entity. It is something that you need to know how to navigate in order to get the best profits from what your investment will be. We in Liberia, for some reason, it has come to the point that anybody can represent any domain, any field, without the requisite expertise. All they have to do is put something slightly related on it, and then that's enough. We cannot progress like this. Akin to electricity is telecommunication and the development. In telecommunication, we look at the internet, we look at all these. These things are directly related to our development. But we're not putting people with the requisite expertise there. And you will understand why. Because all we see around is you want excellent compensation, more than necessary. We're not supposed, just what Dr. Booty was saying, we're not supposed to compensate somebody beyond our budgetary limitations. Why should we put 80% for behind salaries and no 20% in investment? We're not going to go nowhere. That thing we did with the agriculture will not move. It will not develop because you're not putting enough in it. Why don't we have people who say, you know what, we need to take a pay cut so we can put money in agriculture? Why don't we have people like that? We don't have people with the commitment to Liberia, the love for Liberia, the expertise required to move the needle, and people who are going to be honest. So again, we come to the point. Liberian people need to wake up and say, these people are not doing anything for us. They're not trying to do anything for us. And if we continue like this, we'll be like this for the next 100 and some more years. Okay? It's not like Liberian people not stupid. It's not like Liberian people don't have the expertise. We have all kinds of expertise in the diaspora here. But the people who are being selected are based not on how they can help the country, but how they buttress the political entities that be whether it's the president, the vice president, and whatnot. So we lose every single time. We don't pick the right people to do the job because we're not talking about big shots running around in big cars. Who will help change Liberia's future? Who would bring benefit to our children, our mothers, our health system, our educational system? But it's all about running around in big cars and pretending that they're running our country. And in essence, the country is breaking down. How long will this go on? It's been going on for some time now. And everyone thought that this would have been a mature administration, being that they've been around so long. They're around since Tubman time. You think we're going to bring but what we see cronyism again. We see the same type of things that have been characterizing our demise. In other words, not picking expert people to help Liberian people advance. You know, you kind of wonder, why is this okay like this? There's no explanation. So, why not just, we don't care. Nangwe must say, yeah, in the US, we just want you to pick somebody who can do the job. But instead, you're picking somebody that your friend, they're not doing anything. And we know these people, we're all experts. We know you don't know nothing about this thing. You know, we know you don't have the expertise. So what is wrong with us? And every one of our neighbors, even Sierra Leone, look, you should compare Liberia and Sierra Leone years ago. It was nothing, even Sierra Leone more advanced than us. What are we doing? Why are we doing this to ourselves? There's no explanation. There's no reason. You know, you're just riding. It's just like this. You know, Dr. Ducle gave a story. He said these people came from Hawa came from America, well, American husband, they came to Liberia, they made a farm. They came to Liberia, they made a farm. They negotiate with the people. And the people say, oh, yeah, take the land, you made a farm. They made a big farm. And soon as they're about to harvest, the people say, they call the elders call in the meeting. Say, I come. When they came, they say, oh, they land y'all got here. We're not sure about how y'all got it and whatnot. So what do you mean? Where the old man who negotiated things said, old man can't be found. So they took the farm away from the people. Howard and her husband went back to America, brokenhearted. They took the farm. They started harvesting the farm for 1 or 2 years. Then they started making flour on themselves. No investment was in the farm. The farm broke down. All the people who were in the town left the town. All the smart young men all left the town. The machines, everything, and the nature has reclaimed the farm. It's a jungle again. That is what we see happen. Are we going to just sit down and allow ourselves to go back to the jungle, or are we going to move the needle?
Well,
I think that's what we face every day.
Mr. Eastman, you couldn't have said it better. Gentlemen, we have come to the end of the show. We give everybody a minute to close. But yes, Mr. Eastman, I'm coming. You can speak during your closing. You can say this. But Mr. Eastman, what you just said that is, there's a reason why in the West and most other countries now, they are electing young people whose future, okay, is on the line. Decisions they make, they will have to live with for the next 40, 50 years. In Liberia, you have a man who is 80-something years old who said, I went to IB Bank and I borrowed money. All I want was to put a little money aside for my child, my children, so when I die, they can have something because I'm old. The man is old now, knowing he got enough money for his children. There's no future there. He appointed Charles Minor. Charles Minor is supposed to be the rice czar. He's 82 years old. There's no future. Grisby, his chief of staff, is 77 years old. These people got no future to invest in. This is it. They were snatch and grind. Like Ellen said, I just celebrated my 86th birthday, and my 2 professional children died, and it's hurting me. She doesn't mind whether millions of people dying from hunger, from diseases. It didn't matter to her. So this is what we have. We are giving our government to people who have no future. There's nothing. If you have a future, you talk about electricity, you talk about roads, you talk about parks, you talk about schools, you talk about things that will invest, that will, because your own children or your grandchildren will go to these.
Mm-hmm. But Mr. Gaiman, I brought this Mr. Akiola. He brings up a good point, because sometimes the people believe we're just talking. I want to show him that we're not using the expertise. When electricity has been an issue for us. This is why I say he needs to go back and see the show. We decided to rehab the existing hydro. The hydro before was built for a small amount of power. It was over 64 megawatt hours per. Right now, that cannot support to come to Monrovia and the demand for electricity in Liberia. So why, when you negotiated this new rehabilitation, why did you go with simply putting 88 megawatts there when you need much more than that? What you should have done was built a reservoir that would have harnessed greater capacity so that we could have more energy, not just during the rainy season, but both the rainy and the dry season. So, Mr. Aquiola, I'm telling you, there are Liberians, this is not coming from me. There are Liberians who have studied these things, but the ones who are negotiating and doing and going into these deals do not have the understanding of it. And that is what we're talking about. And I don't want to compare myself with others. I'm talking about we have capable Liberians, but the people who sit at the negotiation table, going into the deals, they are the ones that don't know better. And they
Mr.
come up with these terrible
Jimmy, tell him to go visit the 68 agreement that this current president negotiated when he was vice president. And I think out of those 68 agreements, only 2 of those could stand a
Yep.
test of any
Exactly.
scrutiny. Let him
Talk
go
about
and
the people
visit.
doing it. They talking about
But-
did we have
Mr.
people right in Liberia, but they don't
Mr.
want
Eastman.
those type of people.
Mr. Eastman, let me answer this young man here who is talking about how old is Donald Trump. Are you watching? Are you seeing what's going on here? Are you seeing when President Trump came in knowing his ability and his deficiency? Are you looking at those that he's bringing around him? He's bringing experts, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, the Elon Musk of the world, or rather Swami of the world. These are smart boys that are coming with expertise. He didn't go pick another.
You talking about?
No, he didn't go bring another 80-year-old guy to sit around.
He's bringing in the
somebody
gaming
order
of
it.
the world.
Mr. Taiwo,
What's the
go
other
ahead,
one?
man. Don't
Yeah.
listen.
What the man
Mr.
from
Taiwo,
Florida
go ahead.
mean?
Mr. Taiwo, go
Mark-
ahead.
Yeah, gentlemen, look at what happened here. Mr. Nangwe always want to get upset, and many other diaspora here in America and other places because they don't want to admit to the failure of the diaspora group. We keep talking about experts in the diaspora, and what I see here is that people that just want job. Look, no country can be built when the foundation on which that population that is going to take part in that government are brought from abroad. Those people don't have commitment to that country. They live somewhere else. When we are talking about the LEC deal, I followed this very well, and I read into every piece of document that was going on. Y'all said there were no experts. Yes, there were experts. Where's Christopher Neal? Where the IMF and World Bank and your people, they sat down under Ellen, during Ellen government. Since the war, we government had the most so-called experts in it than any other government. Those were the people that negotiated that deal. It's
No,
not that.
That is incorrect.
Yeah,
That's
listen,
not who-
Jimmy.
That was not. They
The
wasn't
problem
Neil.
here is not that these people are not experts. The problem here is a commitment issue. These people are committed to somewhere else. So they only go into work. How did we end up with the high salaries? I'm here in the US. I was back and forth in Liberia. We have mortgage to pay in America. This is how we ended up where we are. If these people have commitment and care for this country, they would have never agreed. They called me. I refused. It's not because I'm so honest. It's not because of anything, because I knew that go in for me to pick up $16,000, $17,000 a month and looking at what I was supposed to do was wrong. So I refused. So this is our problem. LEC, the whole LEC project was not by accident. The problem we have, the people from the West, the diaspora group, failed in the first 12 years. Anybody can argue here and say there were some people also that were local. The diaspora group was supposed to develop local capacity.
You know, but Mr. Tao,
I think we
Gentlemen,
Don't interrupt me now. Let me
have run out of time here.
Let me finish.
Yeah, please
Don't
land quick
interrupt me.
so we can go with.
The
We
diaspora
have
group
6
came
minutes
there
out
for
of
the
our
first
area.
4 years.
there were some that went
We
not.
are ultra virus now. Go ahead.
Come on,
Go ahead.
let me complete. Let me finish.
But
Let me-
just
go ahead,
before you
Liv,
end,
gotta go.
there were some that went that did not perform properly. Okay, let me. I want to answer
But
Mr.
why you
Mr. Wallow.
interrupt me? I'm trying to close. You will come to your close.
But we know what happened. But your point is those ones that were there. Are
You
not
will
the
talk
proper ones.
when it's
They
time,
were
right?
not the
Look,
proper.
Mr. Gaiman, I want to close here and go watch my
not.
Eagles. Let me tell
Yes.
Mr. Tower
Yeah,
what
Mr.
I'm
Mr.
saying.
Taiwo, let's go. One minute. Let's go.
let me
30
finish,
seconds.
Mr.
Close.
Yeah, let me close so that why you interrupt me? Don't get all jammed up now because we're talking about your relatives here in the US. but look,
Now you the one in the U.S., so you my relative.
He related to it.
the duty of the diaspora group was to come in there. They said that the war broke everything down. The first 4 years was to have to build domestic capacity and step back to some extent. Look, what happened the moment government in, everybody rush back to the U.S. So the people have no commitment to the country. Let's admit to this. That is one of our problems. So whatever they're negotiating, whatever the outcome will be, they don't care.
Thank you.
The hydro were built in the wrong place. So when they were negotiating it, they were supposed to go by near a bomb mine. Where the FOL is better, where Taylor Mayor or made
We're not talking about way back. Just the other day,
they should have brought it back there.
Mr. Tower, your time is up. Dr. Booty.
Yes, it's been a great show. I think to speak to Mr. Court, who made the point about what expertise we have. We do have expertise. We don't have expertise in telecommunication, all of us, but we can see when someone lacks an expertise in a certain thing. Because we have expertise in what we do. We are from different sectors, but we do know what we're doing. Look, I think Speaker Kofa is doing the right thing. I think he should stick it out. Winning will be for people to go by the rules. Let them remove him in the Constitution, not outside of it. I think the president private jet situation is a mess for the kind of money that we are having to pay just for him to fly to Abuja. The HPX thing, I'll leave it for others to talk about because it's a joke, right? It's a complete joke. But yeah, it's been a great show, and I'm looking forward to next Sunday already. And it's been great being here, Mr. Tao. It was good. Y'all need to try and go find out that when Evans Murray coming from his sabbatical, because we need him back as well.
It's all right. It's all right. Mr. Nambe.
Yes. So please tell Dr. Wallo. I was a national campaign advisor for the CPP. I do not advise Mr. Cummings. I belong to the UPP. I am not an ANC person. But nonetheless, I still believe Mr. Cummings would have done a better job than what we're witnessing now. But listen, great show. Mr. Towell, let me tell you again for the 1000th time. What I said is the fault, what is wrong with Liberia, is from both those of us in the diaspora as well as those at home. I told you the fault is equally divided. I am not saying the people from the diaspora don't commit any wrongs, but I'm also saying just as they do, so do our local compatriots. So when you talk so, I want you to talk so. That's what I'm saying. Having said that, I listened to the finance minister the other day, and I think the $8.4 billion 5-year plan that the government is putting forth, I think they've realized that the diaspora Liberians should also be a part. I think they depend on the diaspora community to help raise that money, and therefore I believe there's going to be a robust engagement now with the diaspora community. So I'll be inviting you from the EULA office through the Vice President's Office for Diaspora Affairs to come and join us so that together we can help make Liberia.
And who is that Vice President?
The Vice President happens to be my darling wife for full disclosure.
Nepotism.
Is that how you heard that?
That nepotism you're bringing here, we're not here for that.
Listen.
So anyway, for the next 5 seconds, let me just say again. I said earlier in the show, and I know Jerome, you disagreed, Dr. Booty, you disagreed. Jimmy, you were off the show. But I said, I believe the speaker has fought a good fight. I believe he has made his point. I think the marker has been planted. The Liberian people now know how not to remove a speaker of the House of Representatives. Therefore, I think this is a fight he's not going to win. He needs to call a conference, announce his victory, and move on to something else. I still maintain that position. Thank you for the show. It was a great show. Now I'm off to watch my Eagles put a hurt on the Steelers.
Thank you. Thank you. Jimmy, can you close?
Yes, there's a lot of significance in what Mr. Tower is saying. Ellen Johnson said the same thing, that we as a people she said, what is her one criticism? She said, we're too transient. In other words, we don't stay in Liberia. Just what Mr. Tower said. We'll go there, look for jobs, plenty of, and come, and then soon the job finish and come right back. Whereas, just like a whole lot of the bona fide experts don't even go look for those jobs. They don't care about making money for just 1 or 2 years. They have careers. They are already well planted. Okay, so they're not seeking just to exploit the situation back home. We don't want to split our people. We want to build. Now, if we find somebody who is committed to generations of building, then you can sacrifice. You can say, man, leave this $200,000, $100,000 job, and I'll go back home and to make my contribution. But we have to have that guarantee. We want that guarantee first. Now, I don't want to bust Mr. Samuel Waller bubble, but you see that $90 million solar farm? Let me tell you, it is a known fact for that amount of energy, just for 20 megawatts, 90 million is way too much. It's been discussed that it should be only 20 million. They're spending 90 million. Number two, what else is wrong? They are not building storage capacity for solar. In other words, as long as you have the sun up and think it's going to supply that megawatts. But if you're not storing it, so that when there's no sun, then you can harness all the energy that is there. Again, there's a good idea, but the project is being approached the wrong way. So sorry to bust your bubble, but that 90 million for that 20 megawatt is exorbitant. Somebody getting a kickback.
Thank you.
It's bad. But I will just land with this. We talk these things so to maybe one day, somebody will hear these things, or a young man who maybe in the 20s now, they will reach a popularity, and then all these things will come to crest, and they will begin to implement. But our time is going quickly. So all we can do is impart knowledge at this point. But it was a great show, gentlemen. I respect all your minds, your intellect, and it's a pleasure being here with you. Thank you.
Thank you. As always, whether you are for or against or neutral, we are all Liberian.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.